So hello guys, in today's video I'll be showing you how a complete trading system looks like, and in fact this is the one that I use, so believe you me, you don't want to miss this, so be sure to stick till the end of this video. And so without further ado, then let's get right into it. Okay, so this is it, and as you can clearly see, this is Notion, the app that I'm using to write down everything about my trading system. It's actually Notion, more like a trading workspace or a trading studio, whatever you would like to call it. So of course, this is an intra-session one, an intra-session system, and of course there it is, my name, Luap's Intra-Session Lab. That is the name of the workspace. And of course, this is just a cover. This is the icon, a React icon. You can use any icon of your choice. And here we get it to the trading asset. Now we get to start. Of course, for the trading asset, this is an intra-session, meaning that sessions play a part. The Asia session, London session, and the New York play a part in the system. And of course, here it is the pair that I use, GBP USD. And of course, you all have different systems. So for you, you might be using two pairs, maybe Euro USD and GBP USD. Maybe you're even trading gold. You will actually include the pair there. But for me, it's actually GBP USD. Of course, the risk and money management plan. This is the next part. And as you can clearly see here, I have a fixed risk per position that is 0.5%. All of these are just rules to protect my capital and make sure that I survive for the long time, for my age to prove itself. And of course, risk remains constant across all trades. Each and every trade I take, I usually risk 0.5% on that trade. The maximum running risk at any given time is 0.5% as well, because the maximum number of trades I take per session is only one trade. And as well, I take a maximum of 2 trades per day. That doesn't mean that I usually take each and every day I usually find those 2 trades. There's days that I don't even find a single setup for both the session of London and the key windows that I have for London and New York. And there's times I'll get more than those 2 setups in the day, but I will only filter for just those 2. For just those 2 trades. Sometimes I may have one, and it's just something that you cannot control. The market is the one that controls the number of opportunities that we will have in a day. You, as a trader, you don't have any play into that. And as well, the final part is just the maximum daily loss. As you can clearly see, that is 1%. That means 2 full losses in a day. So if I have a loss on London and also I have a loss on New York, then I'll be done for the day. Even if I see any other setup that aligns with my playbook, in that case I will not take it, not because it's not valid, but because the outcome of that trade is not guaranteed, and this means it can also be a loser, that it may even end up dipping my drawdown. And as well, we have the technical base. So here we have the time frames. We all know how I do the top down, starting from the 3 months all the way to the 15 minute. Then I use the 1 minute as the execution time frame. But as well, it's not always every day that I usually wake up and open the charts on the 3 months, then dip all the way. No, I usually do this once, let's say once in a month, just check what is happening on the weekly or the 3 months. I rarely even go to the 3 months, because the 3 months time frame, like one single candle, is actually 3 months of trading activity. This means I rarely use it. So meaning once in a while, I usually check the weekly. So the weekly, and mostly the 4 hour and the 15 and 1 minute, just for trade execution. The entry modules are the ones that I usually teach on this YouTube channel. That is the inducement, sweep, the decisional POI mitigation. POI, it can be an order flow or order block. We all know that. Engineering liquidity sweep, extreme POI mitigation, and yeah, of course, now you get to the trading strategy now. The strategy overview, the structure cycle, whereby you extract your setups and all that. So for me, it's actually these patterns inside here, and I have named all my setups. I have 3 setups, pro trend and counter trend. Of course, you can clearly see down here. And as well, every trade that I take, I usually based on the logic of these 3 setups. That is, I just give them a name, A1, A2, and as well, you can clearly see here, A3. So the first one is pro trend, and these other ones are counter trend. So guys, before we dive deep into this, let me introduce you to my new ebook right here, Become a True Forex Trader. shorten your learning curve. That's actually the main aim of me writing this ebook, just to shorten your learning curve. And as well as you can clearly see Luap, of course, I'm the author of this ebook. Inside this ebook, you will learn a lot. As you can clearly see, the ebook has 4 chapters. So we have the chapter 1, that is the foundation. We have the chapter 2, learning a trading strategy. You will learn a lot inside this ebook. My complete trading strategy, the pro trend as well as the counter trend, as you can clearly see down below here. And as well, we have the risk management. You get to learn about risk per trade, position sizing, and all of that. Full 81-page knowledge. I noticed that you guys usually overlook the foundation of forex trading, learning about currency pairs, base currency, quote currency, knowing of these things. Bid ask spread, as well as pipettes, lot sizes. What is lot? You get to learn about leverage, what is margin. And by the way, I have explained all this in the simplest wording possible, so that anyone can actually understand this with ease. As well, the types of orders, market orders, pending orders, pending orders, the different types of pending orders, buy limit order, sell limit order, buy stop, sell stop. Getting to learn about all these. What is a forex broker, how to choose a good broker. And these are things that many traders overlook, but are actually very important even before you dive into any trading strategy. And after all the foundation, you get to learn my complete trading strategy, starting from what is a candlestick, pro trend trading, all the way to counter trend trading. Exactly right there, getting to learn my counter trend setups and all in between. And then you get to have a comprehensive chapter 3 of risk management, whereby you learn things like risk per trade. You get to learn things like position sizing, how to calculate your lot size as per your risk tolerance. You get to, as per your risk tolerance, both manually and as well using a calculator. You get to learn the relationship between risk to reward and win rate. All of these things, get to understand deeply of all this. Stop loss placement, the importance of it, the common risk management mistake, including risking too much per trade, inconsistent risk, moving the stop loss, trading without a stop loss, focusing on all of these things you get to learn. And as well, the final note here is for me, refining your mindset for the long term in this trading journey. And as well, in the learning of the trading strategy, you will have different examples. You'll have a table here of all the different types of traders and the time frame routes that you'll be picking during multi-time frame execution. As well, like I said, you'll have real-time examples here. As you can clearly see, these are real chart examples. Yeah, you get to learn a lot about all these things. Okay, comprehensive guide. So if you would want to have a copy of all this, a copy of your own, getting to learn things like this deeply, then you may consider checking the link in the description of this video. 82 pages of knowledge for less than $8. One of the cheapest, worth it investments you'll ever make in your trading career. And so guys, with all that said, let's get back to our trading system. Okay, so here we have it. We can clearly see the structure cycle. So of course, if you trade True SMC, you will understand more of this. So you can take a screenshot of this. It will actually help you. So you can clearly see price text inducement, break of structure, and these are the counter trend setups. So the arrows, you can clearly see the arrow down is for sell, the arrow up is for buy. And you can clearly see these are 3 setups, that is A1, A2, and A3. You can clearly see A2 a counter trend and A1 a pro trend. So these are here. You get to understand better of this. So A1 is just the typical trading, the pro trend trading that I usually teach on my trading channel, whereby price takes inducement, makes a break of structure. You mark again the inducement, price mitigates a POI. Then after that, of course, you take the entry all the way towards the external liquidity. So this is the first setup, that is A1. And by the way, it is not necessarily a must for it to be decision or B. We know all the entry modules. It's either a decisional POI, an inducement takeout, an engineering liquidity sweep, or an extreme POI mitigation. So that is the first setup. There is as well the second setup, whereby a POI fails, you sell to the next. That is a counter trend one. And as well, you have the the internal structure towards inducement, whereby you sell all the way towards inducement, because we all know that any POI before the inducement, no matter minor or major inducement, it's actually a smart money trap, a weak POI just there to lure the early buyers and sellers. And so this means you can trade against that all the way towards the inducement takeout. So those are the three setups that I usually use in my intra-session trading, combining them with my key windows and stuff. Here I have my rules. You can clearly see all entries are executed strictly on the 1 minute time frame. The 15 minute provides context and bias, then execution belongs only on the 1 minute time frame. The entry criteria, of course, I have criteria for how I take my entry. So I have a condition. The condition is the dealing range must contain a major inducement. The entry, set limit order at the nearest valid POI or the next core liquidity level. By core liquidity level, I mean either the inducement or the engineering liquidity. Located beyond equilibrium of the dealing range, respecting buying discount and selling premium. Exactly. Then, in cases where the dealing range contains a minor inducement, you place the limit order precisely at the external high if you're bearish, or external low if we are bullish. Then the stop loss, of course, where you set a stop loss, and as well where I set my take profit. Take profit is strictly at the 1 minute external liquidity. So you can clearly see that everything is defined. When I get to the charts, I am only looking for what is aligning with all this, and that is only then when I get to execute. There is no any decisions that I make in the charts. It's just me going there, knowing what I'm looking forward for, and just executing based on what, and just executing only when what I'm looking forward for presents. And as well, I have my trading windows here. I have London, of course, the first 3 hours of London, that is 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. UK time. And as well, I have New York, that is 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. UK time. Yep, those are my trading windows, meaning I'm at the charts at these times. London because GBP, London and New York because I trade GBP USD, and for London, of course, GBP is active, and for New York, USD is active, so meaning my pair will be active during these trading windows. And in fact, I'm picking the first 3 hours of the sessions when the trading activity is more active. A trade is only taken when a valid setup presents. Of course, you have seen my setups are only 3 setups: A1, A2, A3. And by the way, I have named these based on my own preference. You can actually name your own setups like the way you want. So yeah, there is no any meaning in the reason as to why I labeled them as A1, A2, or A3. So you can clearly see the rule number 4, no trade execution is permitted around high impact. Of course, since I am trading the lower time frames, I'll be strictly checking the high impact news because they may affect my setups and all in between. So I usually set and forget because I use limit orders, setting my stop loss where the trade idea gets invalidated, and setting my TP at the nearest place possible so that my TP gets triggered in a few. And as well, every trade must be recorded or logged. And the last one, when in doubt, protect capital. I usually don't trade when I'm skeptical of my analysis. I usually protect my capital. The profitability you seek is the losses you avoid. Everyone can have a winning trade. Very, very important. And this is where I track my performance. Of course, you can clearly see this is the front test data. So you'll track the performance. You can clearly see for the month of April. You can clearly see the asset, the direction. So I usually track the trading day, the date, the asset, the direction, the setup. Of course, I have 3 setup. So the reason you can clearly see A1, A2, A3. So depending on the setup, you name it there. The session, I mean the key window, is it the London key window, the New York key window? Then are rules adherence, if it's yes or no, and of course, is it a win? The outcome, that is it a win? You take, if it's a loss, you check the loss button, and of course you record the P&L depending with your risk per trade. And of course, after that, you also journal the trades that you take. As you can clearly see right here, the trade that I take, I usually journal them. You can clearly see this is a loser that I took. And of course, after taking the loss, price, you can clearly see price was going onto my direction all the way nearing to this area, but then eventually you can clearly see price reversed back. Okay, so, and by the way, there should be logic in every trade you take. And for me, I really gain my context from the 15-minute. So you can clearly see right here, this is the 15-minute chart, and you can clearly see this was the internal structure towards the inducement. So that is when now I had to sell, continuing this internal structure all the way towards the inducement. And that's where now when I get back to the lower time frame, I get to see all this price taking out the inducement, break of structure. The extreme order block was here, and this here was, of course, the order flow. So I took the entry from the order flow all the way towards the 1 minute external liquidity, of which it is my TP area. And of course, you can clearly see the limit order getting activated exactly right there. Price is heading onto my favor only then or later for price to just reverse back all the way, taking my my SL. And of course, that was just a loser. So for the winner, we can clearly see a trade like this one. So yeah, you can clearly see this was a nice trade, actually a major inducement takeout whereby price failed these core liquidity levels and it was heading towards this area. So that gave me the bias for the 1 minute that price is heading higher. So for the market structure, you can clearly see break of structure, break of structure. This is the major inducement. So that's where I set my TP, 6 pips stop loss, targeting this high. And as you can clearly see, in no time, price triggered my limit order, or my limit order got activated exactly right there, giving that reaction. And of course, as you can clearly see, in a matter of time, price headed all the way towards the external liquidity, giving me a 2.5 RR. Yeah, so you can clearly see actually just that. And by the way, you can clearly see that this is April 6 GBP USD. It was a long position. The setup is A1, of course, pro trend, and as well session is London, meaning the key window that is. Yeah, you can clearly see that there is this green box. This green box is for Asia, and this gray box here is for London. So meaning I was taking the trade exactly during my London key window, or when the London was starting, that is. Yeah, rules adherence, of course, yes, it was a winner, yes. PNL 1.25, and of course you just record everything about taking the screenshots and all that, and that is how you'll be taking these setups, recording each and every trade you take. And if you make a mistake, of course, make sure as well you are recording each and every mistake you take. Yeah, make sure you're always following your rules, being patient for your setups, and you will not always have setups each and every day. There are months will have a good trade frequency, there are months will have a very small trade frequency, and you should just be okay with that. Waiting is also part of the edge. And then after the Q2, of which this is Q2, you can clearly see this is April, May, June. We are currently in June. So after all of that tracking, you now do a summary of the tracking. That is total trades taken. You record them. If you took 30 trades for the month, or for the quarter, you record that. The total wins, of course, you record out of those 30 trades that you took, how many wins did you take? Depending with your win rate, you may have 20 wins, you may have 25 wins out of the 30 trades you took. So you record there, and as well, you record the total losses. You record the maximum winning streak. If you had 10 wins in a row, 5 wins in a row, 7 wins in a row, you record that. Maximum losing streak as well, the same. Did you have 3 losses in a row? Did you have 5 losses in a row, or 2 losses in a row? You record that as the maximum losing streak. Then the maximum drawdown, depending with your maximum losing streak, and as well depending with your risk per trade, you record it there. And as well the win rate of your trading strategy, the net return for the quarter, how much return did you get? Is it 10%? Is it 20%? Is it 30%? Record it there. And as well the average RR, you get to know your RR. And that's how you do the summary, and you'll be doing this for the whole year. Then you get to see if you'll update the system or refine the system, get to see what you have to refine so that you make the system even better and produce good net returns at the end of the year. Yep, and that is it. Of course, you can clearly see learn how to become a true Forex trader by Luap. This is just the ebook that I showcased you guys. Like I said, you don't want to miss whatever is in here. I inputted a lot of my knowledge and experience into this ebook. I would actually want you guys to have a copy of that. And show up, stay sharp, trust the process, and the results will follow.